getting others. Yeah, Kyle is gone, and so's Howard and Bob. Okay, all right. Good morning. This is the Syracuse Landmarks Preservation Board meeting of January 8th, 2026. Present at the meeting are
Nicole Fragnito,
Julia Marshall,
Jeff Romano.
Hillary Donahue.
Amber Dillon.
And Kate Auwetter.
Thank you. May I have a motion to accept the minutes of December 11th, 2025?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any modifications to the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? Minutes are adopted.
thank you.
Okay. The board will now conduct the public hearings on today's agenda. First, the applicant or the applicant's representative will be invited to describe the proposed scope of work and to present any material or documentation regarding the proposal to the board. Next, persons wishing to speak in favor of the proposal will be given the opportunity to address the board. Then persons who wish to speak in opposition will be allowed to address the board. Finally, the applicant or representative will be given the opportunity to make closing comments to the board. Following public comment, the board may vote to approve with conditions, or deny the application just heard. The board may also decide to hold its decision until the next public hearing. If the hearing is closed, no additional information will be allowed into the record, except for information that the board may request. The information will be available for public review with board staff. Kate, would you please introduce the first application?
Sure. This is actually a continuation of Certificate of Appropriateness 2543. It's for 1010 East Washington Street, and it is for, actually it says selected exterior demolitions and repairs, but it's primarily repairs and the installation of accessible entrance. And this is a local protected site. It's not on? Okay. There you go.
Forgot about that one. We were switching out batteries. Kate, we're doing one at 1010 first?
Yes.
Your new one, okay.
Yep, 1010 first.
Okay.
Yep.
You project.
I'm going to start, yeah. Brian, and then it's going to come on when someone was shouting. Brian Bouchard with CHA, so I'm the project engineer. Dave Mosier, the project architect. I'm going to go through a second option for the rear lift, which he spent all day yesterday getting to you, so that hopefully we can present both options to you. But he spent so much time on it, he woke up sick this morning, so he's not here, but he's available by phone if I need to. But this project we reviewed at your last meeting for renovations to the 1010 house, and the intent to restore this as a companion piece to the apartment project that will be placed on site. So this building will be used and renovated and restored for amenity space for those residents. At the last meeting specific to the C of A for the house, I left with 3 primary comments that the board gave. One was fairly simple, with just adding the notes to clarify the intent to infill those basement windows. That's something that wasn't noted on the plan that we discussed. Second, you can see we did talk about the repairing the existing wood windows and what we would do with the storms. So we've updated the window schedule to provide new wood exterior storm windows at the request of the board as well. So that's noted in the window schedule. And then the last, probably the most complicated, and this battery just died, was the ability to provide ADA access to this house, right? It sits elevated from the existing grade, and the delta between our finished floor of our apartments and the finished floor of the house is about 4 feet. So accomplishing sort of the communication of how people converse back and forth obviously requires ADA access. At the last meeting, we presented the option for an accessible wood ramp at either the front or one of the side facades. Obviously, with the 4-foot difference, this ramp in meeting the specifications for ADA access was needs to have this very large structure around it. I think the initial reaction was adding that to the front maybe isn't the best option, right? So if you want to go down to option 2, basically we have this solarium in the back that's non-contributing that we were removing and infilling. And we have validated the option to use generally that area where that solarium was and that existing opening to place this lift, which I think accomplishes a variety of things. One, it accomplishes the ADA access that we need. It also places that lift location directly adjacent to the rear door of the apartments so that people coming out and using that courtyard space have a shorter walk and don't have to go all the way around to the front of the building. And then third, in terms of its visibility, presentation from the front facade, you won't even be able to see it, so it's kind of screened. And then Kate and I were talking about an option of putting this potentially on the side of the house, but obviously we know that from 201 Krause, if you want to go to the site plan real quick, and then we'll come back up, we're going to be seeing this from Krause, so putting it on the side would kind of make it a capstone piece as well. And you can see that the building the new construction that we'll talk about in a minute, almost kind of conceals that lift location there. So it is a slightly higher lift, but it still meets the specifications of the lift in the enclosure. We did have to adjust some of the grading and retaining walls around that area, but that actually was a benefit as well because it kind of opened up that courtyard space where it was narrowing between the house and the structure as well. So I think we've addressed at least those 3 comments, and we can talk about obviously option 1 or 2 and what your opinions are of them regarding both the notes that we added for the infilled basement windows, those additional specs for the exterior storms, and then this lift location that we left with last time. And I'll pause there for comments.
Yes. It's a public hearing. So do you want to make a comment? Oh, okay, sorry. Yep. Anyone here want to speak in favor of this options, the options presented? Anyone in opposition? If not, comment of the board. Who
I'll
wants to start?
a couple of brief comments. As Brian was just stating, I feel having that lift on the front really obliterates the symmetry and the presentation of the original facade. And hooking it towards the back where the solarium was added really speaks to the history of the building itself, where you have the large prominent facade, then you have the step down like the kitchen addition, and now you have this third addition. So it kind of follows the architecture of the building historically. My question is, looking at the photographs, the grade doesn't seem that far off on the back elevation. Do we truly need the lift there with the new building going in? What's that delta? What's that difference? Do we really need that whole behemoth on the back of the building?
Yeah, I can explain that if you want to go to the grading plan or the site plan of option 2. What you see in the existing photos is obviously that the building is elevated probably by 2 courses of block, right? 18 inches or so, or maybe 24 inches. We have the new construction that has a finished floor for the residential apartments, so we're fighting grade both ways. Currently, there's an existing slope that comes up, so the site's much higher than the street. So we've done 2 things. We've depressed the building as much as we possibly can to keep the driveway accessible for a fire truck. There's a 10% required grade for the fire truck, so that sets our finished floor of the building. The finished floor of the building is actually so low that the parking lot, you actually have to walk up a set of stairs to get into the first floor. So the building is depressed as much as it can. It's actually,
Wait, but we're not talking about the new building just yet. I think the question was
It's related.
regarding.
Well, it's correlated.
it's related. So we have a ramp that has to come up to that finished floor, so it's as high as possible, which makes it actually 2 feet lower than existing grade at the rear door. So this patio will be cut from the existing grass that you see.
Okay.
And then in order to get ADA access here, so yeah, if you were to have to do a switchback of a ramp, it would basically take up. I think-
Understood. So we got a 2-foot difference from?
Correct, from the existing grade. And that's just the relationship of the new construction to the existing house, yeah.
So what is the relationship in terms of, if we're talking about grades, on the side of the house, basically on the west side of the house, what is it from grade from those stairs? Well, if you go back to the plan, slide back. From there, well,
This is-
from the, at the bottom of that stair up to the building.
Yep, this is about existing, so there'll be 2 feet of grade difference that will be a landscaped area to get you down to the sidewalk. So this would still be the stair where it matches existing grade. It's really this area in the back where we're directly adjacent to the egress door that has a very short distance to be able to accomplish that 4 feet.
What I'm asking is grade at the bottom of those stairs to the first floor of 201.
This is the same as it is today. The
I know,
stairs
but
that you
I'm
see.
asking, what is that difference? Because you said it was 40 inches in the front.
It's about the same, 3.5 feet. So it's a little bit,
So
a little
about
bit
40
lower than
inches.
directly in the
So a
back.
40-inch ramp
Yeah.
on the side of the building. Okay. All right. Well, but it would match in terms of the architecture, what they're doing on the new building. So, okay. I guess my comment, I'll start with, option 1 doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's in front of the building, that's number 1, but number 2, for ADA, the opening of the gate from that lift onto the porch, you don't have ADA accessibility at that point, because it's not large enough in terms of if I'm reading the drawing correctly.
Correct. It would have had to have been completely rebuilt, whereas I think where you're leaning is this rear option actually, in your wheelchair, you turn
You don't
and
have the
and
turning
you
option.
go right into the house, yeah.
Right, you don't have the turning radius whatsoever on that
Yep,
top.
exactly.
And I see that, with the one on the back, yes, that can work. I guess I will pose the question that you're creating what I'll call a ramp on your new building, but it's basically grade is rising up with a knee wall, stone knee wall. Did you explore the idea of doing that to 201 on the side? Because in terms of architecture, it would be framing the parking lot, and it actually would then not be truly a ramp, but it would be grade moving up and going in the side door.
The
I
existing
guess
side door.
my point is, I don't like providing accessibility on the back of a building from a standpoint from accessibility that it's the secondary exit, it's on the back of the building.
We can't raise the parking lot any
No, I'm not saying
higher.
to raise the parking lot, to go,
So
you've
I'm,
got the length of the building.
you're saying bring the ramp up here and to the side,
Well, you could actually,
or?
somewhere along the line, it becomes a switchback over the stairs. Yeah. Just an option, to be considered.
Not a bad thought, where it blends in and then it picks up on the lines of the front of the building. And
Right.
Yeah, so,
ties the site together.
right, there would at least need to be one switchback. We can't lose any
Right,
parking, right?
Right,
We're
exactly, there would be one switchback. I mean, your original ramp had 3 switchbacks, which was excessive on the front of the building.
Right. The space that's available is probably very tight for the wood ramp, and I guess we did look at costs of both the wood ramp and the lift. Because we did look at this, right? And you still want, I guess, the option for a stair to exist, right? So that if there is a very long switchback, that able-bodied people have, the short-circuited path to go up a stair. So it is a little bit longer, and it may encroach slightly into that parking area. You can see we sort of have those turnaround hatched spaces. that we could use, but then you'd have problems getting in and out with the cars. So the space that's available even for like the 48-inch switchback would probably take up the entire west facade. We did look at the cost between the wood construction of a ramp and the lift. Coincidentally, it's benign. It's essentially the same for that. So I think encumbering that whole side facade with what would essentially look like a massive wood ramp is, to our opinion, would be much more visible from.
Oh, I'm not suggesting
201.
it was wood. I was suggesting that it would match what you were doing on the new building so that it would basically, would be on the perimeter of your parking, and it actually, from a site point of view, would be really nice.
It reads holistically like
Right.
everything's cohesive.
Something to explore. You know, I don't want to,
I think I'm saying we did explore it, and I guess we've given the 3 ramp options, whether it's wood or something else, and now the 2 lift options. And we're very comfortable with the rear lift option just because of the way that it can be attached. I think it's screened. It gives the best option for wheelchairs to be able to get in, and probably still, at least in my mind, maintains the look of that west facade too without covering
well,
any of it up.
then let's talk about what materials are you using to enclose this lift.
Yep, it's part of the package here.
I mean, if it's written here, I'm just going to say, at this scale, I can't read the text.
Any other board comment?
Actually, if you could.
See the dilemma.
Yeah. Well, if I print out the full-size copy, then we're all sitting here with big maps. On the elevation, Amber, all the way up, yep, right, one of these would work, because they're both the same.
We can use that one.
Yeah, it's
same
a
thing.
siding material.
Smart side.
Yep, down just a little bit. It's on the notes at the elevation right here.
Okay.
Yep. So we have smart side fascia trim, smart side corner bead, and smart side horizontal side.
And for the non-architects in the room, Smart Side is
Wood composite.
Right.
it's a wood composite. Thank you.
Other comments from the board?
What color siding were you thinking of?
Not sure that you labeled it, but some type of earth tone color. I don't think we want to match the brick, but possibly something that matches the doors of the trims, right? So something that's matching like earth tone.
I see that you have a door on this new enclosure. Can you tell us what the material is and if there was any consideration for adding windows so that there's light and it's not just a kind of an enclosed box?
That's a good question. I don't think that there are windows included in the construction of the enclosure that kind of encloses that lift. It probably is possible, I think, so that there is some light in it. Obviously, there would be light in the lift enclosure itself, like internal light, but having natural light would be something that we could certainly add to. Probably facing the rear, I would assume.
Yeah.
What is that, like a half light?
Yep.
Yeah, that's just a door that's framed into that opening. So it's not part of the equipment for the lift, yeah.
But it's presenting as like a half light,
Yep.
2 panels below. So that would be the only daylight that would enter that space.
Yeah, and where it is, there's probably an opportunity to put a window on that west facade as well. So maybe there's one that faces the courtyard space and one next to the window to frame it in.
Yes, I would also like that one would explore how that's fenestrated with this material, because it appears to be fairly massive. There's no baseline. I mean, one could, take the coursing of that water table across and around so that it would reduce the imagery of it being this massive attachment to this building.
Yeah. I agree with that, yeah.
It, to me, feels very uncomfortable in terms of scale. And I recognize that if you're going to do a lift, you need that
Some
width,
dimension.
you need that height. But one could express some of the devices that was used in fenestrating the building in that without repeating history, but take the course line, water table around. Look
Or even
at
the window
how
line,
you're-
yeah. The sill line too, with
Right.
where the window would be
I
placed.
mean, I would love if it was even a different material, for a base, that it's a base course. I mean, it's a very traditional building. It's got a base, it's got a center, and it's got a top.
We have the wood table on our new construction building that maybe we use the same material for. Or something similar, yeah.
Something that reduces the scale of what this looks like. I recognize it's at the back of the building, but you still see it.
It's probably a good idea to keep the wood siding off the ground anyway, so maybe switching the material.
Well, if it's a wood composite that probably can sit on the ground, I mean, is it like, Aztec is another manufacturer, but that's not wood-based.
Sure, yeah.
But generally speaking, we do allow, we have in the past, at least 8 inches off the ground, because otherwise it just rots.
Yep.
But in this case, I'm looking at, that you've got such a strong horizontal line on this building. And it shows up more on the rear side, because you just got a massive, facade of paneling.
Yeah, and that stone continues along the rear of the existing house too, so if you wrapped it on all three
Right.
sides, it would kind of follow that same horizon, yeah.
Would help.
We can add both of those, yeah. The water table element, and then look at where we can place a window to match the existing sill line.
Other comments from the board?
I think it looks a lot better than the last proposal, and I like the wood storms. Thanks for following up on that.
Okay. Shall we close public comment? Okay. Any other comments from the board?
I have a question. Is the fence going to be retained and fixed?
The fence will be removed.
Okay.
There is some other there is some other items that kind of are off the property, like that stone wall that's going to remain, because
Okay.
that's actually off the property. But the fence is in disrepair, and it kind of overlaps with where we have our parking lot and the sidewalk approach that needs to be reconstructed to that front entrance. So the intent was to remove it, yeah.
So if you do go with option 2, I assume that the configuration of these walks that are showing in your site plan are going to be modified, because you don't need to take it to what was previously presented with the option 1 on the side.
Still will reconstruct that sidewalk, because there is a leasing
Right,
office
but
there.
just to the entry, not.
Just to the entry.
Right.
Yeah, we won't extend it over to where the concrete pad was, right?
Does it need to be 5 feet?
Preferably, yes, snow removal and equipment and some other things. 5 feet's usually the minimum, especially for passing by people. Similar to that, yeah.
So that's more up to date than this.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So it sounds like really the two comments are that stone water table and daylight into that enclosure, and then maybe confirming the color. I know
think you
that,
Could confirm the color with Kate?
yeah. If there's windows. For the window.
Well, I'd like you to bring in whatever the material you're using
Yeah.
the new build.
Right, for the new, but whatever the material is to signify a water table and materials below if it's different from above, based on our comments.
Yeah,
Okay,
we can do that.
So, do you wanna vote
yep, I
and
think,
hold?
I don't think we need to hold
Oh,
it.
no, we don't need to hold it.
Right.
No.
Just
The-
vote
You
on
can
the
condition,
submission- on
you
the
can
condition to
condition.
Submit
Yes,
product to.
so may I have a motion on this application? You can include that in your motion.
All right, so I'll make a motion to approve the project as submitted with the following conditions. Condition.
Oh, I'm sorry. Could you specify which option we're talking about? Okay, thank
Yes.
you.
Two.
As submitted, there are several options.
We'll have a lift out front in no time.
We have 3 options.
So I'm making a motion to accept option number 1. Excuse me,
No.
option number 2.
No.
I'm looking at 2 and I said I want to apologize. Option number 2, the rear lift addition, with the following conditions that the owner will take a look at the scale of the lift addition, and by adding a water table and a foundation component to the structure to reduce the visual scale, and to look at adding fenestration that picks up on the historic lines of the building that would allow interior daylight. Color to be submitted as earth tone.
And samples of the materials.
Of the material that are to be used on the adjacent
On the
building.
Staff can review those particulars instead of it coming before the board. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any modifications, discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? Motion is passed.
Thank you very much. Completely related, I'll let Kate introduce it, sorry.
Thanks for putting the time in on this.
This is good. I know there's some news about it and everybody's excited about
Are we
saving
going to
it.
save those windows of the solarium?
Yeah. Norm has a personal relationship with that. He told me a story about how he used to have an office building several blocks away that looked down on it, and every morning he'd drink his coffee in his office, and the people that lived here would be drinking coffee in that solarium. So I don't know if he'll attach it to his house at his home or what he's
Hall languages.
doing. Oh,
Are
yeah.
they really?
Yeah, those are the windows from the hall languages.
Really? I'll have to mention that to him, yeah.
I thought that was common knowledge.
That is not coming out.
You can,
Those are the windows when they actually replaced the windows of the
In
hall
the
language.
70s, they took them out?
I didn't know that,
He
yeah.
took them. So those are the original windows of the hall language.
Well, just as an aside, if he can hold on
repurpose
to
them
them,
somehow.
because it's-
Somebody will want them,
Right,
right?
there's some
Yeah.
There's some value.
value or history to them, so
right.
that would be great.
Okay, so
duly
I'll start
noted.
with, so our
Can you
next piece of
introduce the
business.
next
Yes,
Why they
is major site plan review, 2531, also continuation from last meeting. Major site plan review, 201 South Krause Avenue, construction of a 5-story apartment building. And it is, the board's role is to review and comment. This is, of course, adjacent to a protected site, 1010 East Washington Street. So,
Wonderful, thank you. So Amber, if you could just go to the 2-dimensional elevations, there was really 3 comments for the new construction that we left with. One was just rectifying that sidewalk to the 1010 house and making sure that it matched whatever option that we had picked. So that was fairly simple, and we just talked about that. The other was, can you go to the 2-dimensional elevation? It might help me with the front, yeah, right there. The front facade windows were punched differently in the previous iteration. They were smaller. And there were some comments from the board to explore 2 things. One is making them match more consistently with the side windows and the glazing that's along both side facades. And then 2, the window trim was actually a different color as well. So this iteration that you see, and we can flip down to the renderings, essentially matches the window size and the punch openings, and then also the trim aligning them with the interior spaces where there was a conflict with a wall before as well. This picture is perfect if you can stop here. The third one, aside from the windows that you can see, right? So they're trimmed in a similar fashion, and the size of them is similar as well. The other was that the intent was probably there, but it wasn't shown on the rendering. We have this ramp and sort of site projection to get access into the back, front of the building for the elevator lift, et cetera. But it was to carry that same stone material around the water table of the apartment building as well to kind of make it cohesive. Those were the three comments: the sidewalk connection to the house on the site plan for the new construction, adjustments to those front facade windows, and then addition of that stone water table to match the remaining base of the building there.
Is that it?
That's it, yeah.
Okay, anyone
Comments.
want to come and speak in favor of? Oh, it's not,
So it's
oh,
just
so we're
review.
just commenting, oh, I missed that, okay. All were much, I wish we would have the other elevation, the older one, for comparison. Do you have it? Just for some who weren't here, in particular, the street face. What?
Oh, yeah, because you didn't see it last time, did you?
In terms of those windows, that was, so it's a good improvement.
They weren't full-height windows. I think that's where we were going with it, right? And that most of those windows frame the living space, so having them be a big enough opening to look out of and match the other side windows was where we were going with that. Yeah, you can see there, they're a much smaller shape. They don't have the full.
They didn't have any correlation to the rest of the building, and it
No,
felt
and I
very
think maybe that was purposeful, but, you know, we went back and looked at it. So now, and the trim was also white, so they stuck out more too, right? So they're essentially the same
And
windows and same
they're
trim.
in plan, they're in the living room?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So you would think that you'd want to have much larger openings, and that is which direction? West.
West, yeah.
So,
And like.
Beautiful
the
sunsets.
new one, looking like that facade, to me, has great character and balance, and it looks like
yeah.
an older building based on its visual weight and the balance of the fenestration.
Yep, and then keeping some of that transparency along the street facade too, and carrying that up as a vertical element through that staircases.
That
Yep.
looks light years better than last month's proposal. Compare and contrast right here, to me.
And I appreciate that you
Thank you for that.
carried the stone base all the way down.
Yeah, because again, we talked about how that floor actually is sitting much higher than the,
Right.
so it's a little bit more of a exposed foundation than you would find on a typical building too, so it's certainly appropriate, yeah.
But it also speaks to the user understands why, I mean, because it's implied that the
Yeah.
first floor is up.
Yep, understood.
Yeah, and that's that same kind of water table feature that we were just talking about extending to the.
The lift, yep. Yep.
So making that cohesive and reading as one site, well thought out, I think that's a major benefit to this entire project.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Any other comments, since it is not part of public? It's just a review and comment?
Didn't see the original version until just now, but this is evocative of
That's
the old
well-
house, so I think that,
Amber just, okay, that's the original.
right.
Yeah,
So, yeah, so this is a vast improvement.
was that articulated on the rear facade as well, or were those
Yes.
windows left?
Yep.
Okay.
Positive in the comment in the positive?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Golden ticket to the planning commission.
Really, you don't want to come back and visit us?
Oh, I always want to. These are the fun ones, you know?
Every 3 month cycle, I'd say.
Yeah, about that, right?
Yeah, it seems. Yeah, no, I appreciate that you
It's a great upgrade.
listened, and considered some of our comments. We don't want to be designing, but we like to
We don't want you to design either, but we'll listen to you every time.
And when somebody goes to do something with those Hall of Languages windows, please
Give
reach
me your
out
address,
to the
we'll drop
Onondaga
them
Historical
off.
Association. Because we would probably like to take one of them, once our building is done, but I'll keep it somewhere
I'll
else.
ask Dave if he knows that. I'm sure Norm does, because he's owned the property forever, but, yeah, if they could be repurposed, obviously, that's,
That would be amazing.
yeah.
Well, just as an artifact.
Oh, yeah, for
To
sure.
keep, whether it's repurposed or not, but the fact, I mean, it's pretty kind of cool that, you know,
Yeah.
that they came.
Yeah,
So,
very cool.
thank you.
Perfect. Have a good day. Thank you.
Good day.
Appreciate it, Brian.
Okay. Kate, would you like, we still have more,
Yes, we do.
and this will be new business.
So this is new business. This is an demolition of a non-landmarked historic property. It's number 2601, 106 Onondaga Avenue. So this is for the demolition of the property. The property is listed in the city's historic properties list, which is why, and it is listed as NR eligible. It is not this property, as we know, yeah. Anyway, it's not that particular building. But the ordinance does give the board the opportunity to assess the property and determine whether or not it should be put into the local protected site designation process. So here to speak on this is,
And our role is to,
you will need to vote, make a decision one way or the other.
you need to vote, or?
You'll need to vote. There'll need to be a resolution. The other thing is, if I may, Hillary, you're going to recuse yourself from this because you wrote the conditions assessment, but you can make comment and provide the board with the information that you have on the building as well. So, great.
Thank you. I'm Caitlin Wright with the Greater Syracuse Land Bank. Do I need to give my address? I don't know. Is this a public hearing? We're at 1941 South Salina Street. This building is, in our opinion, too far gone to be saved. When we get tax foreclosures, we do a conditions evaluation immediately upon intake. And those that can be renovated, we try to get listed for sale as quickly as possible. And those that cannot, we try to keep secured. This is one where we actually have tried for some time to sell it, and we're unable to find any buyer that was willing to make the investment necessary to save it. So ultimately, last year, we decided to pull the plug and start down the path towards demolition. We're using state grant funding for the demolition of this building. So we're working our way through the environmental review process right now, and the SHPO has asked us to do photo documentation and the research contained in Bruce Harvey's report that we provided in your package here. So we have provided that to the SHPO. We haven't made any arrangements or had any conversations about providing that to OHA, but we would be happy to provide that to OHA in whatever format they would like. The photos, I'm sure we can get nice prints from Bruce. The back half of the building has sustained an awful lot of water damage, and the structural framing is pretty completely rotten. So we think it would take a couple $100,000 of just framing repair to get the building structurally sound before you could even start the renovations, and obviously that's far going to exceed the fair market value of the house once it's done. We do have a vendor who does architectural salvage, who we've allowed to salvage as much as he can safely take from the interior of the house. And he's planning over the next few weeks to take whatever he can safely take from the exterior as well, so that it can be reused and not sent to the landfill.
Can I just say, so, so Bruce Harvey's report does provide a very detailed history of the property, when it was constructed, and the families that occupied it up until, what, the 2000s? Yeah.
The report on this, very well done. Kind of surprised we weren't able to find an architect or a builder on this, being,
Well, I think you could find an architect, it's finding a developer who, or, you know, buyer.
No, about the history.
the original. I'm kind of surprised I mean, just looking at the photos of the building, it's superior construction, and the detailing on the house is just exquisite. And it's sad to see what 15 winters can do to a building that doesn't have a roof. This is, I don't want to say everyday Syracuse, but this is the heartbreaking component that we need to deal with. As you just said, you know, the replacement of it is just doesn't match what you can sell it for. So there's no economic justification, which we struggle with. But at the same time, we have these architectural gems throughout the city that we're losing consistently due to economic conditions. And I'm not sure what the proper route is to try and capture them if we don't have the support and the desire to rehab these properties. Based on the report, I just feel it in myself that I'd have to put it forward for architectural review based on just on its appearance. I know it's very well written, but we don't have an architect, we don't have a builder. But the history of it and who it's built by and the site, I didn't reading it, I was just learned about the Putnam family. I thought that was a pretty interesting connection. And the site and the surrounding area, there seems to be a lot of connection to historical figures within Syracuse, tying it to making this justifiable for additional historic awareness and documentation.
You're saying that you don't think it's been sufficiently documented?
No, I feel there's a lot of information here. I'm surprised that we can't find an architect based on historical importance of people who built it, who lived here, who developed the area.
Yeah, I mean, I have to defer to Bruce on that. We hired him because he's the expert.
I know. I'm just kind of
Yeah.
lamenting based on how it presents and its history. You know, out of the four, we're needing two briefings for historical stature, but I'm kind of struggling to make the connection.
Isn't the question whether or not it's landmark eligible? I'm not
Yeah,
sure I
well, that's where
understand.
I'm going, like, we have documented history and movers and shakers in the community, right, but we don't have an architect, we don't have a builder, but we,
Well, they do have a builder.
oh
They're
my
saying
gosh,
that,
you're right, I'm sorry. Thank you.
okay. I mean,
So,
they've identified
we've,
the
yeah,
builder.
so we've got a builder, we've got a family that's, large manufacturer in the city of Syracuse. So moving towards, trying to think of the other.
Are you going for Secretary of
Yeah,
Interior
interior
Standards?
So we
The
have
significant-
designation criteria or what need to be considered. Yeah. Which are in the staff report, if you wanted
Right.
to refresh your
Thank
memory.
you. I can't remember off the top of my head at the moment.
They should be there. Are they
Yeah,
not
they're there.
Yeah.
The Secretary of the Interior Standards, did I include the designation criteria?
Yes.
We got
Okay.
We have the 10 standards. Criteria, designated protected site. So, criteria and designation of protected site and preservation districts, association with persons of historic significance, that's illustrated. 2, illustrative growth of the city or region, that's illustrated here. 3, in case of structures embodying distinctive characteristics of type, method, construction. That's kind of tough to say. Visually, you can see it, but we have the builder, we don't have an architect. So number 5, not looking at the interior on that, but number 4, case district, that's district-wide. So out of four, I feel that we have a solid 3. Out of 5, excuse me, we have a solid 3. So that pushes me to merit that it does have enough architectural significance to push it forward to landmark status. Now, that doesn't mean it can't be demolished. It's just to get it documented and get it documented before it goes away.
What additional documentation would you like?
Sorry?
What additional documentation would you like?
I'm just volleying it out here right now as conversation to see where else.
I guess I'm questioning the same thing in terms of the documentation that has been provided. I mean, it pains me to see that something like this would be demolished.
I just
But
want
I
to make sure
also-
we've covered all of our bases.
Understand based on the documentation of, basically, it's unsound. And moving forward, if it's not demolished, it will continue to deteriorate and probably implode on itself. And so it is a difficult one, and based on the documentation that I have in hand, I'm not quite understanding what else you're looking for.
Can I add just a couple pieces? So not only Bruce Harvey looked into the history of this, but David Haas of Syracuse History. I did some research. We couldn't find anything on an architect. So, Bruce is a pretty professional researcher at this point. And also, the land bank marketed this to try to find a buyer for a long time. It got picked up by Cheap Old Houses and was marketed nationally at least 3 times. So it's been a long process of trying to get somebody to step up and fix this place up, and nobody has.
Thank you. That's good to know that some other people were looking for that information as well.
And whether or not we know who the architect is or isn't, that's part of the criteria you want to know if you can. But based on the age of the building, sometimes there was no architect, but the builder, having worked with other architects, takes all of that into consideration. And so, some of these houses that have no identifiable architect actually end up being quite beautiful, which this probably was at one time.
And whether we know who the architect is doesn't necessarily speak to
Exactly.
how architecturally significant the house is,
Agreed.
or isn't, yeah.
Right, agreed.
Understood. I'm just,
So just to remind the board, there are the criteria for designation and then also the question of integrity. So it has to meet at least one of the criteria, and you're not necessarily just, well, anyway. So it would have to meet at least one of the criteria as well as that integrity test, so.
Right, which was,
I guess I'm concerned as you're going through the criteria, speaking to things like the families that lived there and what was their, the fact that we know who lived there doesn't necessarily make it landmark eligible. They have to have a significant role in Syracuse history, and I don't
Correct.
know that this is the most significant story I've ever read about a Syracuse house.
So at this point, someone has to make how
Well,
does this work since it's not
Yeah,
public?
so if the board needs to determine whether or not it wants to pursue a landmark designation, in which case if the board found that there was enough evidence to push it towards designation, then we would you would have a call for a public hearing, which would happen at the next session, and then it moves on from there. If the board decides that for whatever reason it does not meet the criteria, then we should have some resolution to that. So there should be a vote, and then if there are conditions on that, for example, what happens with the report, additional documentation, that kind of thing, you can also include that in your resolution.
I mean, I agree with Jeff and Julie, I think it's tragic that this property has been left to fall apart like this. Putnam's helped build Syracuse Central School District. The Eckel family is critically important to the fire department and the manufacturing history, but the house is beyond repair. And I mean, Bruce does the best work. So I read this with great interest, but it's unfortunately too far gone. It's depressing.
Agreed.
So making it a landmark is moot, I think, right? I mean, for me,
I would think so.
as sad as that is to say.
So, want to make a motion?
What is my motion? I never make motions correctly, so.
The motion is that it does,
Is Bart,
it, let's see, the motion is that, that the board will not move this on to landmark designation process because of
Structural instability.
and it doesn't
It-
meet all of the
Right.
criteria. That-
it doesn't meet the criteria, yeah, so that is the
that's
key,
the-
is
the
that
key
it
to
doesn't meet the
this.
criteria for designation, and although condition and integrity are different,
Right.
so yeah, if it, I'll allow you to make the, I don't
So,
want to put,
well, we'll make a motion to,
Raise this
not
to-
raise this up to landmark status because it does not meet the criteria set
All of the
forward.
criteria.
All of the criteria set forward to make it a landmark,
In addition.
in addition to the structural issues that are well documented in Bruce Harvey's tremendous report. So moved.
Is there a second? And I assume I have to.
You have to vote, yeah.
But is there a second? Well, I'll second it. All in favor?
Any additional comments?
Oh, any additional comment? Because you have one?
Well, I'm just thinking, if you push it forward to landmark status, that protects what goes on in the future, correct? It goes with the lot.
well, once
Have
the
review.
resource is gone, then there would be not any, once the resource is gone.
We would review it in the future because it stays with the lot.
The landmark would be gone.
But the landmark would be gone, so it's not part of a district. Yes, you're right, that at the moment, the way that the zoning works, it's sort of an overlay on but it would
But it,
effectively be de-designated at that, once the landmark is gone.
for the property.
The property is gone, yeah.
The structure is gone. And then thinking of it in relation to anything that we could get on a district for the West Onondaga, which is just adjacent. I'm just trying to think long-term of is there a detriment? Is there a loss of integrity that would now further deteriorates the chances of West Onondaga Street having any historic significance designation?
The boundaries, at least, that that the State Preservation Office has identified for that West Onondaga Street, it stops at, the circle.
Hillary, have you been in this house?
Yeah.
Were there any Moravian tiles or anything on that fireplace?
No.
Okay. Bunch of nerds.
We can
up
find
here.
you some.
So I
That was
seconded-
discussion, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
the discussion's over. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition?
No, hold on, we need all the,
We need everybody. All in favor?
Everyone needs a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Aye.
mo-
Three,
motion carries.
motion carries.
Thank you.
It's unfortunate, but
It is.
Very painful.
I agree. And we do have stabilization funds that we try to use to help houses that are kind of on the tipping point to push them towards being more financially viable for a potential buyer, but it's typically not, $250,000 of stabilization that we do before we turn it over to somebody. So it was just a much heavier lift than most of the buildings that we're able to save. Thank you.
As much as we would like to save everything, I know that we can't save everything. Okay.
So flipping over to the next page of your agenda, your new agenda, that is.
Okay.
We do have
much
one other,
paperwork
I
here.
don't believe the applicant is here, so I can tell you just quickly, it is minor site plan review for 713, 715 East Genesee Street. This is the Parkview Hotel window replacement. The property is listed as eligible for the National Register within our city's historic properties list, so that this is for review and comment from the board. Obviously, the applicant is not here. The proposal is to replace all the double hung windows with single pane inoperable. Windows, I believe we can't speak for the owner, but one of the issues was not wanting the
people who
occupants.
stay there to open the windows.
Oh, that's nice.
Wait a minute. To replace the double hung windows with a fixed,
Fixed single pane.
Not a single pane.
not
but
single.
I'm sorry,
pane.
single,
Sash.
what do I mean? Just a fixed sash, that's what, yeah.
Okay,
So a
fixed
single
sash.
fixed sash.
But it's probably a double insulated window.
Absolutely, I'm sorry, I'm using the
Okay.
wrong, yeah. And there are, I have provided the before and afters.
Is there a Parkview Hotel sign on this building right now?
Yeah,
Is there really?
yep.
This is, so we're missing what are the windows made out of? What's the cut sheet? This is a full submission?
That is if you would like additional information. However, you might want to comment to begin with on the impact to the historic integrity of the property by removing double hung.
Absolutely. I was just trying to
Are these the original windows?
look at the whole picture.
That we don't know.
Well, we don't have enough
We,
information.
we have insufficient information to,
They appear to be wood 1/1s currently. I
That
drive
would
by
be my,
all the time.
yeah, that would be my
I guess my
guess.
first impulse is, you can have a fixed window that appears to be a double hung window, because making them a full glazed sash fixed really changes the architecture of the building. I'll leave it at that without saying any more, because
it's interesting because we just did a project, 701 Montgomery, the old Hilton Hotel where they had all the fixed glass,
Yeah.
fixed pane windows, and those just all came out and they replaced them with paired double hung,
Those are apartments, though, right?
which got turned into apartments, which was originally built as a hotel. So here we have a proposal where we're ripping out potentially original double hung wood windows with fixed units, which changes the whole projection of the building architecturally, as you stated.
and this will stay a hotel. So,
now.
right.
Till
I mean,
Syracuse buys
but
it.
from a-
Hampton is moving
Right,
into the project.
so from a user, developer point of view, I understand why they want a fixed window. It has a lot to do with energy consumption and their HVAC system. I get that. But changing the architecture so drastically, because there are lots of windows on this building, it changes the fenestration of the building, it changes the imagery. And keeping the aesthetic of the window, and yet providing a modern window that provides some energy efficiency, and they're fixed, are not contrary to each other. And And so my recommendation is, you know, that they explore another window. And we do need a window survey of the condition of the wood windows that are there.
This is not a local protected
It's not
site,
local
so that,
protected, okay.
so it is more for review and comment, and I think that your comment will be like, that it's enough to be able to send that back to zoning, and be able to provide that information to the developers, and then they can come back with
I mean, I
with
would.
what their, an alternative
Yeah,
proposal might be.
I'm assuming that it's either aluminum clad or it's a fiberglass material. We don't know, but we need to know.
I don't think, yeah, there's not enough information here, but yeah, okay.
Is this property also, is it National Register listed or eligible?
No, it's eligible,
Eligible, okay.
yeah. So they could in fact get, they may be able to get the tax credits if they got it on the National
If
Register,
they
yeah.
got tax credit, if it was a tax credit project, it would go through SHPO?
Yes. And SHPO then would require a window
Right.
survey and
Exactly.
retention, but again, you would also then get the tax, almost, well, 50%
This should be a local protected
tax
site.
credit to do
I
it,
said this
so.
should be a local protected site.
I would agree.
I'm surprised that it isn't.
That is, the board can recommend moving
Oh.
that forward, yeah.
Might I do that?
Well.
I'll dig. Well, digging in our building is difficult right now. We are in a real state of disrepair, but
We can put this on the, well, we can start thinking about doing that, yeah. I mean, we'll have to be
In spirit of assisting this developer with getting a better product, we could now step forward to assist them in understanding the value of their existing building historically and what that means for them in the future to maintain and preserve it.
well said, Mr. Romano. Well said.
Yeah, I mean, just,
I would move it forward.
it's site location
Yeah.
in relationship to the fact that 81 is coming down.
Down.
This is, you know, the location that is fairly significant in terms of the development of Syracuse, in terms of which side of the highway
Oh,
it
yeah.
really ended up.
Well, it's quite significant as in the entire development of the city of Syracuse, sitting on Foreman Park,
Correct.
right?
So
And now here we are
I guess that would be,
expending billions to replace 81 and redevelop that whole district. This visually reconnects Sayette Park to Foreman Park.
so do we formally, as a board, if all agree that, how does that work?
The board can be the applicant. It would have to be internal, so there'd need to be some time to pull together a local protected site application. But if that was the board's pleasure, then
You would be
staff
pursuing that.
will get busy on
Is-
pulling that
is-
together. But it would also, we'd also need to coordinate that, obviously, with the owner and
right.
let them.
Is that the
Pleasure of the board.
pleasure of the board?
Certainly my
One,
pleasure,
two,
yeah.
three,
Yes,
okay.
please.
All right?
Yeah, I mean, this is, you know,
Great building.
a great building.
All right?
Was that the casket viewing building is
Casket
one
viewing
right next to
building is
it?
just down the road.
Yeah.
on the same side,
Yep.
further east?
They got
Yes.
nationally listed.
They got on the National Register and have been using the tax credits,
And
yep.
the church, former church across the street
Is eligible.
eligible.
It's eligible.
Good.
I'm just trying to think of its immediate neighbors.
Yeah, those are all of them.
In supporting context of pushing this forward.
And I'm wondering what is underneath that, see that, the house to the,
Yes, it's a
Second
mansard
Empire.
to
roof
the,
under
the,
there.
with the mansard roof
Yeah.
underneath there, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, that whole side of the street has a lot of historic properties all the way up to University.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
Yeah.
really wonderful block.
And there's been significant development on Genesee, and there will be significant once the highway comes down as well.
So that might actually be, this building is important. I think that we should be looking at do an analysis of the block as well.
I would think so,
Right.
because this is,
The entire square.
a
Right.
pretty significant key in the block, put it that way. Okay.
We got faith in you, Amber, to pick this and pull it.
I'll let the others know.
So,
Please reach out to the
Yeah,
owners and tell them that we
so
wanna
we've
work
made
with
enough comment to that, so the last piece is you're gonna update us.
Oh, and actually, at this point, I have no further updates on the proposed ordinance. The exemption, yeah. I will, it is as it was left the last time we spoke a month ago or so, that the zoning administrator has requested seeker be completed, a seeker review for
How
the
many days
proposed.
are left?
Oh, no, it hasn't been
Oh,
received yet,
oh,
so it won't, as soon as that documentation is received, then a 30-day period begins. But that has not, it has gone no further. It has not arrived yet in the
It's not a
zoning
complete
office.
application.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Amber. It's not a complete application until we get the seeker. So if there is any movement on it, I will certainly let you know, one way or the other. Yeah.
So now may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Opposition? Let's go.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
So midday is good, after work's good, like if you'd want to come do that. Midday, all right.
Monday.
It's nice for you to get out and see something.